One of the world's most expensive coffees doesn't start in a factory. It starts right here in the wild, directly ahead, through the mist. Look closely. That's the one.
Hidden here is the Asian palm civet, a creature that plays a surprising role in creating one of the most expensive coffees on Earth.
The process doesn't end with the animal, and what happens next is even more surprising. These beans right here are about to leave the jungle and travel to a factory for further processing. The isolation of the wild is nothing compared to what happens next. It's time to go inside.
High-altitude coffee plantations appear surrounded by dense jungle, mist and soft-filtered sunlight showing where the journey truly begins. Coffee plants grow naturally at the forest edge, shaded by trees and untouched by industrial farming methods. Clusters of coffee cherries hang from branches, revealing the contrast between unripe green fruit and fully ripe deep red cherries. Only the fully ripe red cherries are valued, clearly separated from unripe ones to protect final coffee quality. Local workers carefully harvest ripe cherries by hand, twisting them gently from branches with slow, practiced movements. Traditional woven baskets and sacks begin to fill as cherries are collected gradually during harvesting. Harvesting continues in humid jungle conditions, with wet leaves, muddy ground, and moisture visible in the air. Cherries are sorted by hand at the plantation, removing damaged or unripe fruit before moving forward. Small collection points form near the plantation as fresh cherries are gathered in limited quantities. High-quality cherries are kept fresh and intact, ensuring only the best fruit remains available for wildlife interaction. The plantation slowly blends into surrounding forest, signaling a shift from human harvesting to natural processes. Wide natural views emphasize that this coffee's journey starts far from factories, rooted deeply in untouched nature. Dense forest zones beside the plantations appear under fog and low light, revealing the natural habitat where civets live freely. Civets move quietly along the plantation edges during evening hours, blending naturally into the forest floor. They approach coffee plants and carefully observe the cherries, instinctively drawn only to deep red, fully ripe fruit. Each cherry is eaten one at a time, showing selective feeding rather than random consumption. Close views reveal civets gently biting into cherries, swallowing both pulp and beans together as part of normal feeding. Unripe, damaged, or sour cherries remain untouched on branches, naturally filtered out by the animal's instincts. After feeding, civets rest calmly on branches or forest ground as digestion begins without disturbance. Subtle visual cues suggest enzymes starting their work inside the digestive system, initiating natural fermentation. This entire process happens without cages, feeding stations, or human control, keeping civets wild and unforced. Feeding repeats naturally over multiple nights, guided by moonlight, fog, and the jungle's slow rhythm. Civets gradually move deeper into the forest after feeding, leaving the plantation behind. A clear contrast emerges between untouched cherries and those selected, highlighting nature's role in quality selection. The forest quiets as digestion continues internally, setting the stage for fermentation to complete naturally. After consumption, coffee cherries move naturally into the civet's digestive system, with the beans still protected inside the fruit. As digestion begins, the soft outer pulp breaks down, while the hard coffee beans remain intact. Natural digestive enzymes surround the beans, starting subtle biochemical changes on their surface. These enzymes gently alter specific proteins inside the beans, helping reduce bitterness later on. Fermentation develops slowly and naturally without heat, pressure, or any artificial intervention. The warm and humid digestive environment supports controlled microbial activity without harming the beans. Flavor-related compounds begin to transform, softening acidity and enhancing aroma potential. Despite this internal transformation, the beans remain whole and structurally undamaged. Fermentation progresses gradually over time, following the civet's natural digestion cycle. Enzymatic activity slows as the process reaches its optimal fermentation point. The beans are now fully transformed internally while maintaining their original shape. This entire stage occurs as part of the civet's normal biology, with no forced or unethical involvement. The process completes quietly, preparing the beans to reappear naturally on the forest floor for collection. The jungle floor appears dense and damp, covered with leaves, soil, and organic debris under foggy low light and light rain. Experienced collectors carefully scan the forest ground, recognizing civet droppings through visual knowledge rather than guesswork. Close views reveal fermented coffee beans partially visible within the waste, still intact despite their surroundings. Collectors wear gloves and use simple tools, maintaining hygiene even in raw jungle conditions. Beans are separated slowly and carefully by hand, ensuring no physical damage during removal. Loose, organic material is gently rinsed away on site, preparing the beans for safe handling without full washing. Collected beans are placed into breathable mesh bags or labeled containers suitable for forest transport. Broken or visibly damaged beans are removed immediately at the collection point. Collectors ensure beans are not sealed while wet, allowing natural airflow to prevent mold formation. The collection process avoids disturbing wildlife, leaving civets completely uninvolved and unseen. Beans are carried out along narrow forest paths toward transport routes and processing areas. Only small quantities are gathered at a time, emphasizing the rarity of the harvest. Containers are kept shaded and ventilated to preserve quality before transport. The forest environment gradually transitions into roads and crates, visually signaling the move toward controlled processing. The collected beans arrive at a small processing station near the forest, marking the first step toward controlled handling. Beans are carefully unloaded from transport containers and spread across sorting tables under soft lighting. Workers gently remove remaining organic material by hand, taking care not to damage the beans. The beans are lightly rinsed with clean water to clear surface dirt without altering their internal qualities. Excess water drains naturally as the beans rest on mesh trays designed for airflow. Each bean is closely inspected for cracks, discoloration, or visible defects by trained eyes. Damaged or undersized beans are removed by hand to maintain overall quality. Beans are then grouped by size and shape to ensure uniform processing later. Hygiene standards increase as workers wear gloves, hair covers, and clean aprons. Only small batches are handled at a time, reinforcing the limited and premium nature of the product. Clean beans are placed into breathable containers or racks rather than sealed storage. Moisture levels are checked by touch and observation to confirm readiness for drying. Each batch is labeled to preserve origin information and traceability. The cleaned and sorted beans are prepared to move into controlled industrial drying systems. The cleaned and sorted beans are carefully sealed inside breathable sacks and food-grade containers to prevent moisture buildup. Each container is labeled with origin details, dates, and batch references to maintain full traceability. Handlers gently load the containers onto transport vehicles near the plantation processing points. Dedicated coffee transport trucks are used, kept clean and shaded to protect bean quality. Inside the vehicle, airflow-friendly storage ensures beans remain cool and stable during transit. Protective covers shield the beans from direct sunlight, rain, and environmental exposure. Containers are secured firmly to prevent shaking or damage while traveling on rough rural roads. The vehicles move through jungle paths and plantations, highlighting the authentic origin of the coffee. During stops, drivers inspect container conditions to ensure beans remain dry and intact. The transport arrives at the gates of a professional coffee processing facility. Beans are unloaded at a clean receiving dock designed specifically for raw material intake, Staff conduct an initial inspection to check for moisture, damage, or contamination. Approved containers are transferred into temperature-stable holding rooms inside the facility. Processing records are updated to confirm arrival, condition, and readiness for the next stage. The coffee beans enter a fully controlled washing section inside the processing facility, surrounded by stainless steel equipment and clean factory floors. Before washing begins, workers visually inspect the beans to ensure no foreign material remains. The beans are gently poured into industrial washing drums designed for food-grade processing. Clean, filtered, food-safe water is introduced to begin the washing process. Slow rotation and controlled water flow clean the beans without cracking or damaging them. Remaining dirt and organic residues separate from the bean surface and wash away. The beans pass through multiple rinse stages to achieve thorough cleanliness. Enclosed stainless steel channels guide the beans forward, preventing recontamination. Used water drains into separate filtration systems, fully isolated from clean processing zones. Workers continuously monitor water clarity and flow to maintain hygiene standards. After washing, the beans emerge visibly clean and smooth. Excess surface moisture drips away as beans rest briefly on perforated conveyors. The washed beans move forward toward the next controlled processing area. Clear signage, safety gear, and strict procedures reinforce food-grade compliance. The cleaning phase concludes with beans fully prepared for controlled drying and refinement. The washed coffee beans enter a separate sanitization zone inside the factory, fully isolated from raw intake areas. This section operates in enclosed, temperature-stable rooms designed to block airborne contamination. Food-safe sanitization methods like hot water or steam are selected, avoiding any harsh chemicals. The beans are evenly exposed to controlled heat or steam to eliminate harmful microorganisms. Digital monitoring systems track temperature, exposure time, and sanitation accuracy in real time. Workers follow strict hygiene protocols, wearing gloves, masks, hair covers, and clean uniforms. Sanitization levels are carefully controlled to avoid excessive heat that could affect flavor compounds. After treatment, the beans rest briefly to allow surface temperature and moisture to stabilize. Staff visually inspect the beans to confirm uniform sanitization and absence of damage. Compliance indicators and documentation confirm adherence to international food safety standards. Sanitized beans move forward through sealed conveyors to prevent any re-exposure. Cleanliness is fully assured as the beans are directed toward the drying systems. Floor markings and controlled access reinforce the high hygiene status of this zone. The stage concludes with beans ready for precise moisture reduction and controlled drying. Sanitized beans are transferred into controlled drying chambers designed to manage moisture with precision. Heat levels are carefully regulated to remove water content without stressing or damaging the beans. Moisture is reduced slowly over time to preserve delicate flavor compounds and prevent surface cracking. Balanced airflow circulates evenly through the drying system, ensuring all beans dry at the same rate. Sensors and manual checks continuously monitor moisture levels to maintain accuracy throughout the process. Strict limits are applied to prevent over-drying that could cause brittleness or flavor degradation. The batch reaches a uniform moisture level, creating consistency across every bean. With moisture precisely controlled, the dried beans are prepared to move toward husk removal and polishing. Dried beans are fed into industrial hulling machines, where outer husk layers are carefully removed. Mechanical friction separates the dried husk gently, keeping the bean core intact. Removed husk material is collected separately as a byproduct of the process. The beans then pass through polishing drums that strip away remaining silver skin and surface residue. Polishing improves surface smoothness, giving the beans a clean and uniform appearance. Airflow and filtration systems remove dust and fine particles generated during polishing. Operators visually inspect the polished beans to confirm consistency and quality. Fully cleaned beans are transferred smoothly toward the roasting section for the next stage. Polished beans are spread across inspection tables and conveyors for close visual examination. Cracked, discolored, insect-damaged or irregular beans are clearly identified during inspection. Trained workers manually remove defective beans to protect overall batch quality. Machine-assisted sorting systems support the process by detecting size and shape inconsistencies. Only beans with uniform size, color and structure remain after verification. The approved beans are cleared as a premium batch for continued processing. Rejected beans are collected separately and removed from the main production flow. Quality approved beans move forward toward the roasting section for flavor development. Quality approved green coffee beans are transferred into a dedicated roasting area isolated from raw processing zones. The beans are measured precisely and loaded in small batches to maintain tight control and consistency. Professional roasting machines are calibrated for temperature, airflow, and drum rotation before heating begins. Heat is introduced gradually, so the beans warm evenly without sudden shock or surface scorching. As temperature rises, internal moisture slowly escapes, preparing the beans for chemical transformation. The first crack is carefully monitored as internal pressure releases and structure changes inside the beans. Previously fermented beans respond differently to heat, developing smoother and less bitter flavor compounds. Real-time temperature data is tracked on digital displays while operators make fine manual adjustments. Aroma changes are observed closely as scent compounds released during roasting. Operators decide the roast level based on flavor development rather than color alone. Heat is reduced at the right moment to avoid burning and preserve delicate characteristics. Continuous rotation inside the drum ensures even heat distribution across every bean. The roast cycle completes as beans reach the targeted flavor profile and exit the chamber. Beans are immediately transferred into cooling trays to stop further roasting reactions. Roasted beans are visually inspected for uniform color and surface quality. The beans are stabilized and prepared for a resting phase to maintain flavor balance. Freshly roasted beans are released directly into industrial cooling trays to immediately stop further roasting. Powerful airflow systems rapidly reduce the bean temperature, locking in developed flavor compounds. Cooling mechanisms halt internal heat reactions, preventing overcooking after roasting. The beans are gently agitated and spread evenly to ensure uniform cooling across the entire batch. As cooling begins, carbon dioxide naturally starts to release from within the beans. The beans rest inside breathable containers that allow controlled gas escape without trapping pressure. Aromatic compounds settle and stabilize as the beans cool and degas. Operators monitor time and airflow carefully to protect aroma and flavor balance. Once cooled and degassed, the beans appear stable and ready to proceed into grinding. Cooled and degassed beans are transferred into a dedicated grading section inside the facility. The beans pass through calibrated screening systems that separate them by precise size ranges. Density-based machines further sort beans, ensuring consistent weight and roasting behavior. Optical sensors and visual checks examine color consistency across the entire batch. Irregular shapes or surface defects missed earlier are identified during close inspection. Non-conforming beans are separated to maintain strict batch uniformity. Beans are categorized into defined quality grades using combined physical parameters. Top-grade beans are isolated specifically for premium packaging and specialty use. Grading results are recorded digitally and batches are labeled for full traceability. Only approved grades receive final clearance to proceed toward grinding or whole bean packaging. Finished luxury coffee is transferred into a dedicated warehouse designed for premium products. Storage conditions are carefully controlled, maintaining stable temperature and humidity to protect aroma and freshness. Products are arranged neatly on pallets with proper spacing to allow airflow and safe handling. Each batch is stored. A premium, quality-approved batch is carefully selected to represent the final expression of this coffee's journey. Professional brewing equipment is prepared with precise measurements and carefully controlled water temperature. Hot water flows through freshly ground coffee, slowly releasing aroma and flavor compounds. Steam rises as rich color develops during extraction, signaling depth and complexity. The brewed coffee is poured smoothly into a clean, elegant cup. The surface reveals clarity, balanced color, and refined texture. Luxury packaged coffee is placed beside the cup to highlight its premium origin. The moment is presented as a rare and refined experience rather than an everyday drink. The story closes by visually connecting the journey from jungle to factory and finally to the cup.